Want to help me make this a happier and healthier world? Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to work with me, go find me at ryanspence.biz. Hey, Ryan Spence here, and I am a life and health coach here to help you live your happier and healthier life through personal coaching and YouTube. And I recently had COVID, as you may have seen in one of my previous videos. Now, disclaimer, by no means am I a doctor, nor have I ever played one on TV, but I want to share this to inform you about my experience with COVID after having it about 10 weeks ago. So a little symptom recap. My major symptom during those first 2 weeks was fatigue. If you want to see all the symptoms I had in the first 2 weeks, check out that video on that. But in this video, I really want to focus on towards the end of that second week and into the 10 weeks that I'm in now to talk about my symptoms. During those first 2 weeks, my fatigue and symptoms really weren't that bad until week 2 when I attempted to try to go back to work. And by go back, I mean work from home, of course. And I decided to work my job during that second week of having COVID. That was when I really felt the fatigue. It was as if the stress exacerbated the symptoms a lot, which makes sense because just about like any illness, as you're supposed to, rest your body. So it was just my decision that I wanted to attempt to work that second week, just because I had already taken some PTO and wanted to see kind of how things would play out with having it. And I had some coworkers that were going to pick up some of the slack. So my job is essentially doing corporate teaching. So therefore, I'm required to do a lot of speaking and thinking, and that fatigue really just made me it just drained my energy, made me need to take naps in between sessions of teaching. So I worked less than normal, and I even started feeling some of those headaches back. So that's where the stress kind of exacerbated things. It's like I would have been fine if I would have just rested, but I tried to work, and that didn't make it any better. So now in week 3, I still felt that fatigue a little, but I could tell it was vastly improved from what I had at the end of week 2 going into week 3. And then, after week 3, I think I still had some very minor symptoms, but many of these are hard to distinguish between a symptom still affecting me and just having been, resting for 2 to 3 weeks and, being a little bit less out of shape and stuff like that. So for me, one symptom that kind of lingered around was my stomach to continue to have what was like this numb feeling. I believe this is kind of the symptom that other people have talked about where they feel like they're not hungry. For me, I had it, especially the first 2 weeks, but afterwards, even a little bit into today, my stomach just kind of feels like I'm not really hungry, but I'm not really full. So it's almost like there's this numbness that's feeling, at least for me, that's the way it feels for me. Not saying that's what it is, but that seems to be the closest to what other people have said where they've lost their appetite. So it was kind of like I lost a little sense of my stomach. Even now, 10 weeks later, it's definitely better than it was the first couple weeks, but, continues to come back very slowly. It doesn't concern me too much because I'm somebody that's already really attuned to my body and how many calories I need to eat and eating properly. So that not too big of a concern for me. There's also probably some function of that being around having less of an appetite as well, just from, working out less. So I've had to compensate that by eating healthier. So actually in this time of isolation has made me pay way more attention to eating healthier. So I've come up with a lot of new and fast and easy food prep recipes on my YouTube channel to ensure I'm eating healthy and stay stress-free. And I've already posted some of those videos, so I definitely encourage you to check some of those out if you're somebody that wants to eat a little healthier and have a little bit less stress in your life. So now with working out has definitely been more of a challenge. Now I don't think I can truly say I blame the lack of working out on still having the symptoms. But after 2 to 3 weeks, of course, I wasn't as motivated to work out. And then, Minnesota gyms closed down for 4 weeks. And I'm somebody that really enjoys group fitness a lot more than the solo workouts. So that's part of my lack of motivation. So even now, 10 weeks later, I'm still struggling to find a good rhythm with working out. Mainly because it's super cold outside and I have a new puppy, and that requires a lot of planning and attention around just figuring out, okay, well, I'm going to do this. Do I really want to do this and stuff like that? But I have been working out from home. I'm really starting to, the last couple days, I'm finally finding a little bit of a groove. But so I've been working out using the Peloton app. They have some videos on demand, but let me know in the comments below. Now that it's probably super cold where you're at, if you want me to talk more about some home exercises and easy ways to work out, I'd be happy to share some of those. So just let me know in the comments below and I'll show you some of my recommendations. One other symptom that has potentially been lingering, but really kind of hard to tell, are actually migraines on the right side of my head. So I honestly just thought it was a normal headache that I was having, even when I had, in the first couple of weeks of COVID, but even now into today. But as I looked up a little bit more about my headache for this video, I actually found that it was actually a migraine. And I've never been known to have migraines before, or really even headaches. So it's classified as a migraine just because it's kind of clustered around like this area. There's a lot of other areas where migraines can happen. And I will say, even in that first couple weeks, I noticed it pretty much every morning, the little headache migraine action. But it was never too bad for me, again, unless I exacerbated it with stress. But even now, like, I'll just feel like the very little small inkling of it, but nothing that I'm too worried about right now. If anything, it's just going away more and more. So not really a big concern, but just kind of interesting that it still kind of lingers even, 10 weeks later. Now, just to share some of my research I did on how long symptoms can last, here are a couple articles from the Mayo Clinic and the CDC, just talking about the long-term effects for some people with some of the symptoms, just in case it's helpful for you to have that. One other thing I do want to mention, and this is very important if you're going to get tested, is make sure you get tested somewhere where the price of getting tested, or know that your insurance is going to cover it. I made that mistake of not doing my due diligence on that, as I wanted to hurry up and get tested later that day when I suspected I had it, and it actually is going to cost me about $300 out of pocket, which is incredibly frustrating because I know there's actually free tests around here in Minnesota that are more convenient and time efficient manner than the hospital I went to. So definitely encourage you to do a little bit of due diligence when you get tested for it. So to sum it up, the first 2 weeks were, of course, by far the worst for me. Even during those 2 weeks, other than the fatigue, the symptoms weren't too bad. As I kind of described it before, it was almost like a half of a cold for me. But afterwards, it seems like things have still a few of those things that I mentioned have still lingered a little bit. Really, mainly it's just been a massive inconvenience to my routine, like many other illnesses are. Still, it's a good idea to take all the precautions that the CDC has, just so that you can slow the spread and prevent getting it and not have those inconveniences in your life. So I hope this video helped to inform you about my experience. Again, I encourage everyone to keep yourself healthy mentally and physically. Taking care of yourself will help you live a happier and healthier life, and hopefully prevent you from manifesting any illnesses. If you just happen to want to lose weight and prevent long-term disease, which is also a great thing to do these days, and you want to lose that weight just like I did when I lost my 130 pounds and have easily kept it off for 10 years, sign up on my website in the description below, as I have a weight loss class coming up pretty soon to help you lose that quarantine 15. Or if you're somebody that's dealing with a lot of stress, in the environment we have today, I think a lot of people are, please sign up for a free coaching consultation on my website as well. See how we can get you living that much happier and healthier, stress-free life that you want to live. So until the next video, stay healthy, and I love you guys.